What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Jacob in Wisconsin here to talk some Packers as the trade rumor got completely fired up today. I know everybody's it seems like there's no in between. You've got the majority of the people saying bring on DK Metcalf, and then you got others going, we're going to give up a first-round pick for that dude plus $30 million a year. What are we doing here? So we're going to dive into all that and talk about how the rumor got started and whether or not there may or may not be validity to the story. I apologize for the voice. Hopefully we can make this through here and it doesn't sound any worse than my dumb redneck accent sounds most of the time anyway. So Jacob, how you doing, Bob?
I'm doing great, man. I was going to ask, you sound a little hoarse there in the throat region.
Yeah, over here in the throat region. So it's that time of year. You know how it is, man. So when you get to be my age, you start to wonder what the hell's going on. And I think I'm dealing with some stomach ulcers myself. So last night was a late night of just praying to the porcelain god, and the voice is gone. So that's what that's all about. So
I've been there.
Yeah, been there. Got the T-shirt, right, Jake?
Yes, sir.
So, now, all right, let's go in the chat real quick. I had a couple of Mark Jarrell Lee. Maxwell Harrison moving up on the draft board comparison to my second favorite corner behind Denzel Ward. Not sure who that is, to be honest with you. I'm sure he's on the board though.
I think it means the Denzel Ward, Ohio State cornerback.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Make the call. Goody is what he said. Yeah, Maxwell Harrison, obviously you guys know I watched him play at Kentucky for a few years, being a big Kentucky fan, unfortunately. But he had a down year this year, but, man, it sounds like he's starting to turn heads at the combine for sure there, Jacob. So
I believe he ran a 4.3 flat on attempt number 1, came back in, and he said, I'm bound and determined to be a 4.2 guy, and he did hit 4.29, and then the official reading came back as a 4.28 last I read. So
no. So they did did they do the recount on him? Did they
yes.
Go back and check the radar, check the laser, if you will. I don't know, man. I've got the combine on right now. It's showing the tight ends. I don't even know if it's live. I think it is.
I think it is.
But it's been a lot of fun kind of seeing the information come in. I get to this point, honestly, Jacob, I'm excited to get to this point, but I'm like waiting for everything to be finalized so we can update our board, So it's kind of the wait. It's the hurry up and wait. But Maxwell Harrison obviously helping himself today. So let's see here. Chris Ian says, is it true Goody offered the 23rd pick for DK Metcalf? He says some bad words. He says, I hope not. So
GD, I hope not.
Yeah. So yeah, that seems to be one side of the reaction, right? And we're going to dive into all of it. J. Cole, Trey Amos look good at the combine. I completely agree. Jay, completely agree. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll bring you guys information in real time here. As if we hear of anything crazy, Jacob, you just shout it out. But let's go and talk about the topic of the day here, and that's obviously the DK Metcalf conversation. The 33rd team put this tweet out, but I want to focus on what they tagged in this tweet right here. This is where everything, to the best of my knowledge, got started. Okay, Corbin K. Smith at Corbin Smith NFL. I want to say he's got over 20,000 followers. He obviously I'm pretty sure he covers the Seahawks. I'm not here to try to disprove him or prove him right. We're just going to report what we heard and let everybody draw their own conclusions. But he says, based on what I've heard, that don't sound good right off the bat, right?
No.
For Seahawks to move DK Metcalf, trade would have to be structured to receive a number 23, not Jair either. I think he's talking about the number 23 pick, and either Romeo Doubs or Dontavion Wicks in exchange for a receiver, one of their early day 3 selections. So what he's saying here, and where the rumor got started, Jacob, is the Seahawks are willing to deal DK Metcalf to the Packers. In return, they get the first-round pick, number 23, and they get either Romeo Doubs or Dontavion Wicks. Not Dontarion Wicks, but Dontavion Wicks here, obviously. So let's pretend that is all factual and it's on the table. I'll put you on the spot here. Do you pull the trigger on that trade offer right there?
No, I don't. As much as I really do like DK Metcalf, and I feel like that he may be one of the most underutilized talents in the NFL. But just to back up and just the Mr. Corbin K. Smith, don't know you, got no hate for you whatsoever. But like you said, based on what I've heard, He goes on to say this, and then listen.
Hold on, I got to stop you, Jay. Does that mean like at the coffee shop? Does that mean at the liquor store he was getting some Steel Reserve last night or something? Somebody said, "Hey, I heard." What does that mean? Basically,
I mean, that's the point. And then he went on to say he's either getting Romeo Doubs or Dontrarion. It's like if you're saying I heard it from someone, and you one of the two, draft trade bait, prospects that you list there, you don't even get his name spelled right. To me, that breeds a little bit of incompetence, or maybe, or it's just maybe it's wishful thinking, or just pipeline dreams, or just wanting to be first and not necessarily correct. But if let's just say it's true, like you talked about, moving DK Metcalf over, okay, I'd love that. But that means, like you said, at least it means either we're shipping off Jaire as in the number 23 or the number 23 pick, which is most likely, and you throw in Dobbs or Wicks. No, I just that to me, I don't want to take the contract on. Again, think about the dynamic, moving somebody else into just the straight number one position in that room. I just don't like the dynamic there. I just don't like it. If you have to make me choose one or the other, I'd say, nah, I'm good.
Right. And that's where I would be in that specific scenario. And I'm going to explain exactly how I got to that point. But there's a lot more to this story. I want to kind of walk through in order, and we'll kind of keep up with the chat as we go here. Drew D says, we'll give our third plus Dobbs for Metcalf and have a deal. Now, would I be willing to do that? For me, it's not so much about giving up the third round pick as it is, do you think DK Metcalf is worth $30 million per year? Yeah. That's what it comes down to, guys. That's why I'm hesitant. And I got to be real with you. I didn't know a whole lot about DK. I know he's a physical specimen. I know the Skittles story, right, and all that stuff where he's a junk food eater and somehow he's completely shredded. But when I went to look at the stats and kind of compare and contrast, I immediately thought, I'm going to have my socks blown off, right? Wasn't the case at all. Like, I can pull his stats and just kind of explain what he did. And that's with having a similar situation. They got JSN, right? JSN had a phenomenal year this year as a slot receiver, to the best of my knowledge. He's large majority slot. But then you had DK Metcalf had 992 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns. We're trying to run Jaden Reed's ass out of town for having more production than DK Metcalf. Now all of a sudden we want DK Metcalf, and I know in terms of deployment, you got to step back and go, well, it's two different receivers, Clay. Completely agree. But if you look at it as a whole, is he worth $30 million per year? That's the question. Is he worth $20 million per? Like Jarrell says, I don't think he's worth $30 million a year. What the F, right? Well, again, Jarrell, it doesn't matter what you and I think, right? Greg Rice says $30 million is too much. His fair market value, gang, is $25.5 million. Now, keep in mind, we talked about this last year when we laid out the fair market value, the market, whatever you want to market value calculator on Spot Track. I want to say the number we came up with, Jacob, was they were roughly 7 to 8% lowballed, meaning the player ended up getting more than what the market value showed. So if you take the $25 million, you tack on 6, 7, 8%. Oh, by the way, you're waiting a full year unless they do the deal right now. But the year, I guarantee you, the agent of DK Metcalf is not going to come in and go, let's give him a discount. It's not going to happen. So you're saying, okay, Clayton, well, is he worth $30 million this year? Here are the top salary rankings across the NFL wide receiver, okay? $35 million. Now, I'm going to ask you point blank, Jacob. Would you take DK Metcalf over Justin Jefferson?
No, sir.
Me neither. So Justin Jefferson's average annual value is $35 million. CeeDee Lamb is $34 million. Now, if someone wants to make the argument that DK is better than CeeDee, I think I would entertain that conversation, but I still believe CeeDee Lamb is a better receiver than DK. Two different types of receivers, but CeeDee can line up a little bit of everywhere, and DK is more of that vertical threat is kind of what it feels like. Mm-hmm. A.J. Brown, would you take DK Metcalf over A.J. Brown? I know I would. you know?
I probably wouldn't. I will be the devil's advocate here, though. I would argue that 100% DK Metcalf has had the worst quarterback play out of all those guys you just listed in his whole career.
Right. And you say that, right? And that's the original road I went down. But if the quarterback play was so damn bad, how did Jackson Smith-Njigba finish with 1,130 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns?
Yeah. Again, that was just devil's advocate.
Right. No, yeah,
I'm just saying. But Danger Russ was definitely on his downward slope when he got into the league, but still was able to be productive. He was splitting it with Tyler Lockett as well. And then, like you talked about, when they brought JSN in, you know, that definitely split the pie a little bit. Probably not to the way that DK to his benefit, and he actually, you know, what's the guy's name? I always forget, who went over to Seattle, the quarterback that just resurged his career.
Oh yeah,
Geno Smith. Yeah, and Geno actually statistically has had some decent seasons there over in Seattle.
It's the thing. Everybody's going, well, the quarterback play will be better in Green Bay. I'm going, boys, if you think Jordan had a better year than Geno, you're not looking at the numbers.
Right.
Geno scored 4,320 yards passing, 21 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, and a rating of 93.2.
Yeah, and like you talked about, he had his guy with JSN where it was like they clicked and they were absolutely productive.
Yeah, so go ahead.
No, I just think the argument would be is like we've always talked about, you pay for good, not great. You overpay for good, not great. So right now we haven't seen, there's a lot of potential, you know, like a DK, crazy physique, unbelievable track, like Olympic style speed for his size, the hands to go up and get it capability. But there's just something that's been lacking. There's a little bit of a, something that I just, when you say 30 mil, it's like, no way, no way. Yeah. I just pulled back.
If it was 20, I'd be like, okay, because you may have some untapped potential there, right? But that 30 million mark, and again, I could keep going here. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 30 million is his number. Brandon Ayuk, 30 million. Tyreek Hill, 30 million. Jalen Waddle, 28.2 million. Devontae Adams, 28 million. DJ Moore, 27.5. Cooper Kupp, 26.7, on and on. And obviously those numbers are going to raise, right? DK's number was sitting at 24 million. He's 13th average annual value. That's not cap hit. That's average annual value. All right. Yeah, here we go. Josh. Oh, sorry about that.
My bad, man.
Oh, you're good, man. Josh in the chat said something about taking Tay over. And the thing about Tay is, like, they're most likely you won't need to trade for him. They'll probably cut him unless someone really kind of soars to the top. And I'm not saying Tay, if you removed all the cap numbers, you removed all the draft capital it would take to get that player, I'm not saying that I would take Davante Adams over DK, right? DK is significantly younger. It's just when you take everything into consideration, the rumors of a first-round pick, oh, by the way, you got to send Romeo Doubs or Dontayvion Wicks, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's where I get a little, I don't know, man. It just seems a little rich to me. Let me get through these the rest of these chats I have marked here. So obviously Drew D will give our third plus Dobbs for Metcalf. For me, that would still be a no. And I don't want to spoil it. Actually, let's just go ahead and spoil it right now. Let's just do it. The fact that you brung up Dobbs, right? We're willing to trade Dobbs and kind of swap him out for DK plus a third round pick. I love these little studies I do on Twitter, right? I said, which wide receiver would you rather have? Wide receiver 1 had 901 yards receiving, 6 touchdown receptions, and only a $4 million cap hit. Wide receiver 2 had 995 yards receiving, the same amount of touchdowns, and a $23 million cap hit. Who are you choosing? I'm going with wide receiver 1. Well, guess what?
Is that
wide
Reed?
receiver 1 is Romeo Doubs.
It's Dobbs?
That's Dobbs. Now, this is why I say that. Now, they go, he didn't have 901 yards. Correct. But if you give Romeo Doubs the same amount of targets that DK Metcalf have, that would be his numbers. Those would be his numbers. And people go, oh, well, that's conjecture and that's this and that. The reality is when he gets to Green Bay, if they trade for him, you got to make a decision. Does Matt LaFleur continue to work his offense the way he has? Oh, by the way, we were 4th in passing in the league in yards per pass attempt. It's not like our passing offense is bad. And that's with the receivers dropping passes. Yeah. So if you're saying, man, if we could take that to first, that wins the Super Bowl, guys, we didn't get our ass kicked by the Eagles because we didn't have a receiver. We got our face kicked in because we were soft in the trenches when it mattered the most, right? So again, I'm not saying anybody's wrong or right here. Let's look at it from every angle. And I know this, when you look at those two numbers there, if DK comes in and gets the same amount of targets he did, guess what? That means Jayden Reed gets even fewer targets than he did, and his production goes down. Jayden Reed should have had 100 targets. That's the big issue. If Jayden Reed had the same amount of targets that JSN had, or if DK Metcalf had, Jayden Reed would have smoked, I mean, absolutely smoked DK Metcalf's numbers. And that's why I love kind of compare and contrast and look at the whole body of work there. But again, going back to the original tweet here, let me get through these real quick. All good. No way give a first round pick. That's stupid. I agree with that, my friend. Huge ass in the chat says, I love it. Third round sounds good. So just a third rounder, sign me up, because you're probably not going to find DK Metcalf in the third round of this draft. There's a chance that Jaden Higgins could be him. There's a chance that a Trey Amos could be him, right? But you got somebody who's a little more proven, right? That I can understand a third for him. I don't think that's unreasonable. DK says, I feel like Seattle is just trying to get us up from a third to a second. That's probably the case, Drew. That's probably the case if these trade rumors are true.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Clayton, but isn't Seattle in draft day that pancake eating? You know what?
He is. You're
don't
correct.
Trust the Seattle. Don't trust Seattle, man.
No, never trust Seattle. You kidding me? All right, so let me get back to the original tweet we had here. Let's see here. Paul Grant, you had this one marked. Hey, guys, edge players that looked good to me at the combine were Pierce Jr., Hassan. Hassan, yeah, I think that's right. And Oladejo. Yeah, Pierce ran a 4.5 or a sub 4.5 40, something crazy.
I thought it was a 4.7.
You talking about when you say Pierce? I'm talking about edge defender James Pierce. Now he ran like a 4.5 and some had it at a 4.4.
Did he really?
40. Yeah, that was last night. I remember I was out and about and I got a notification on my phone.
Dang, dude, he ran a 4.47.
Yeah, that's insane, man.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, back to the topic here. We get so sidetracked. I love it. So here is what the 33rd team tweeted out: the framework of a possible deal that could send DK Metcalf to Green Bay. Right, DK Metcalf and a 2025 day 3 pick that'll help loosen, soften the blow a little bit for the Packers, right? But we give up the number 23 overall pick and wide receiver Romeo Doubs or Dontavion Wicks. Of those two, here's the thing. Some people would think, well, give them Dontavion Wicks. I'm a little hesitant on that because this is the last year of Romeo Doubs' deal. If Dontavion Wicks returns back to the way he looked last year, fixes the drop issues, and all of a sudden they end up with a better receiver, oh, by the way, we don't re-sign Romeo Doubs, and now we're kind of left scrapping a little bit. That could be an issue, right? Yeah. For sure. So that is the structure of that deal that we talked about. Now, the next thing I wanted to hit on. So we talked about, is it a rumor? Is it not? Is it true? Matt Schneidman chimed in here and kind of threw a wrench into everything. And he said, according to a source, there has been no contact or negotiations as of now between the Packers and Seahawks regarding DK Metcalf trade. Now, you guys know who Matt Schneidman is, right? Matt Schneidman is as plugged in as anybody. If anybody says Matt Schneidman doesn't know, he had a show this year interviewing our head coach. I think he would have at least, at a minimum, as much knowledge as our other friend there with the Seahawks, right? So this is something that may not even be going on. Now, obviously, all the aggregators, they picked up on the story and they started tweeting it out. Now, all of a sudden, it becomes real. It could very well be real, Jacob. It could. I just personally don't. I'm holding off a little bit right now because when I look at what the reports are of the compensation, and then I look at, okay, what's his cap number going to be? That does not feel like a Goody move to me. You know what I mean?
It really doesn't, and it's prime time lying season where it's just you are using every single bit of any kind of thing you can, whether it be the media, whether it be just a rumor or inside source or a source familiar with the topic, whatever you can do to stir the pot. It's kind of like when I'm like, hey, Emilio, I heard that Tom Holman's in your district. Just, trying to get him up and moving, kind of running around a little bit. But shocker, Emilio comes in here late again.
Imagine that.
No respect. No respect.
I'm sorry.
What are your thoughts, Emilio, real quick? Would you be on board with having DK Metcalf traded over to the Green Bay Packers for a possible first-round pick and Dontavion Wicks or Mr. Romeo Dobbs.
How many times are you going to come to my press conference late?
Yeah,
that's what I thought I was going to get hit with.
Yeah, you did.
But
Yes.
Jacob, that's a hard pass. I should have just cut you off at the beginning. I didn't even want you to waste your breath. I was thinking about it, right? We're going to get rid of Romeo Dobbs, who's Jordan's favorite target, who he's practiced with for 5 years straight now. We got the price where we're at right now. I wouldn't want to spend that on DK. You got to get new rhythm with him. I think that Goody talked about it in his presser, like, hey, there's the kids come out of, like, you're talking about JSN. JSN came out and balled out for 1,100, 1,300 yards, whatever. Where'd he just come out of college? You know what I mean? Like, let's go in there. You get somebody that's young. They can come out and they can explode. It's not like that's a problem. So I think that would be the move. And I think Goody would maybe, walk that line, see what's there. But I'd rather go to the draft, get a wide receiver, and move on.
And for me, I want to be very clear here. I'm not anti DK Metcalf. I'm not anti, if for the right price, I think our team would be better with DK Metcalf on it. But when you're talking about a first, a second, or a third round pick plus a wide receiver, plus you're going to have to pay him $25 to $30 million per year, and that's a whole lot of reach. And that sounds like hey, look, I know we're over budget this month, but man, I really, really would like to have that cheeseburger on the menu. You know what I'm saying?
And I mean, I get it, because the salary cap went up, right? So they think that you have another $20 million to work with, but is that something
everybody else does too, right?
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So they have the possibility to re-sign them. They have you can move funds around, but is that something we want to drop in? Wide receiver is the last one we want to get in place. Are we ready to drop one in and go, or do we think that the base that we have that's already there is sufficient and ready to take this team forward?
Right. Jacob, you got any chats you want to hit that's on this topic? Because I'm going to play a soundbite. I'm going to play a soundbite from Wildy and Tausch here.
Honestly, the greatest thing about our chat is that it's taken on a mind of its own. They don't even really – they comment obviously about what we say, but they're having their own conversations back and forth. I'm trying to keep up with it, but it's basically – I would say 3/4 are not into having DK come here for any of that kind of money that we're talking. And the other fourth are saying – similar things, but maybe we need to shake it up, saying maybe we got to bring Tay back in. I'm one of the guys, again, that went on did my mock, and I drafted 3 wide receivers, and some people in the chat were like, 3 wide receivers? Guys, we have a weird situation at wide receiver. Even though it seems like we're flush, we're really not. And we're 1 year away from, if all things break loose and go bad, we could not have a very deep wide receiver room all of a sudden. So that was why I did that. But let's go on.
Yeah, another thing too that got brought up, and we're going to play a soundbite from Rob Demovsky and his kind of take on the situation. This was on Wildy and Tausch earlier today, but another thing that got brought up was, will the Packers plan on recoup? Oh, I know who it was. Peter Bukowski said, look at everybody. The Packers, I have never met anyone in sports media who's ruffled more feathers than that guy. I'm just being honest with you. Like, me and him had it out the first day I was on Twitter, right off the bat. Well, we got that out of the way. We blocked each other and moved on. But anyway, he had said the Packers plan on getting a first-round pick for Jair Alexander, and that's how they're going to recoup that. I'm going, Wildy stood by his reporting on his show today going, I don't know a GM that's saying they give up a first-round pick for Jair Alexander. When you're talking about him being hurt, the majority of his time the last 3 years, plus he's a guy who got suspended from the team. Like, there's a lot of question marks there, and it's not to say just like DK for the right price, you wouldn't take a chance on somebody like that. Because when he's at the top of his game, he's one of the best in the league. There's a lot of question marks. Anyway, this is Rob Demovsky over on Wildy and Tausch earlier today. It's about 2 minutes long. I want to see if we can glean anything from what he had to say here. I thought it was an excellent interview for sure. But let's use Loedger and Cooper here for this one. All right, here we go, boys. Again, this is on Wildy and Tausch. Go give them a follow at Wildy and Tausch on Twitter. Retweet the video, all that good stuff. Here we go.
Goody has only got 7 picks right now, and he wants more, not less. So that doesn't necessarily fit the MO. He even said this week that he would like to have more than the 7 picks. Now, that being said, there are some things that make sense from a standpoint of, Metcalf is 27, I believe. He is on his second contract. He has 1 year left on it. And, the Seahawks might not necessarily want to do a third deal with him. And, they've done business with the Packers before, right? Schneider and Goody, I think, have even done some draft day trades, if I'm not mistaken. So, it's not totally out of the question. Obviously, you're going to have to give Metcalf another contract, which, I suppose is something that they would be willing to do. One thing about DK is, he's really reliable. I think he's played in either 15, 16, or 17 games every one of his NFL seasons. And I think he came into the league in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So 19,
you
20,
are correct on all fronts. Yes,
what
sir.
Is that, six seasons or
6 seasons, 97 games, never played fewer than 15 games in a season.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things to like about it. If you're the Packers and you have to give up a pick and a player, you're not going to have – you give up another receiver, you're not going to have Christian Watson until probably mid-November at the earliest. So I'm not sure I'd go that direction. However, given everything they went through with Romeo Doubs, are they to the point where they're thinking they're probably not going to give him a contract extension because he's going into his last year too, right?
He was my guess.
Would that be the guy that you would move? I'd move him before I'd move Dontavian Wicks if it were me. But
all right, so there you go. Obviously, Rob Demovsky on the Wildy and Tao show earlier today. Just a great interview. That anytime they have him on, and I think they have a great conversation. But one thing that he pointed out there, guys, I want to get your all's take on it: availability and accountability with DK. Right, that dude. He's been available. He's stayed healthy. That is a positive too. You got to take that into consideration. Now, when you throw in the base salary and the guaranteed money, obviously some of the base salary gets kicked back when the player's hurt. There's a lot of that goes into play as well. But I don't know, man. It sounds like from Rob's take here, it's, hey, it could happen. But am I wrong? Did I misread him? You think, guys, where it kind of felt like he was like, probably not going to happen?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I don't know. I'm trying not to say too much, but I don't agree with a lot of what that podcast says, but it's whatever.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah. I don't know how I can follow that
from a fan right
here. But yeah, no, it's a possibility, right? But in all seriousness, I liked what Coach Lynn said here earlier. I don't know if I can find it. He said that, right here. Thank you for favoriting that. I want DK in the blocking game. And you know me, that's what we ask our receivers. That's what
he can block.
Exactly. So I'm not mad at that at all. Like, if we got him for the right price, like we've been saying, I'm not mad at it. But I don't think that we need to give up on a young talent to bring DK in. That's why I just don't think, unless the trade is going to benefit Goody, I don't think he's going to want to dive into that. I think he'd rather get himself. I guess I've been wrong if Rob's saying that, he wants more picks. I've been wrong. I thought that he wanted to maybe move up and condense a little, but he kind of load up. So,
yeah. And Rob's probably going based off of what Goody has said. And we know it's Lions season, right? People,
right.
They're not going to tell you exactly what the plan is. And that could change from day to day. This is what I was talking about here, though. Here was the comparison. The wide receiver on the top, right? Obviously, everybody would pick that guy. And the reason I point this out is because that would be Romeo Doubs' numbers if he had got the same amount of targets as DK Metcalf. And the reason I like to base it off targets and not catches, because catches are unpredictable. When you go how many times you're targeted, that gives you a good ratio, a good understanding. Okay, here's how often this guy's going to catch the ball. Here's how much he's averaging per catch or per target in this situation. When you look at that, man, I would rather take the extra $20 million and spend it somewhere else. Now, here's the thing. We're talking cap numbers this year, okay? And I finagled it a little bit to throw people off, because when I put these up, the whole point is answer the question. And immediately folks want to go to, oh, we need to guess who these are. That's not the point. It's who would you rather have? That's the whole reason of keeping the name off the list. Because everyone would have said, if you just said who you want, Romeo Doubs or DK Metcalf, everyone would have said DK Metcalf, right? Without even looking into, wow, what's the production actually been like? So with that being said, I think everybody's in agreement that you would go with wide receiver 1 here. Now, when you're talking about taking away targets from other places, this is what we got to really mention. Do we want to change our passing game? That's the question I've got for Packer fans. Because my answer is no. We were 4th in yards per attempt last year, or yards per passing attempt last year. Never at any point did I feel like, man, our passing game just ain't there. Now, our running game was definitely on point. Our offense really wasn't the issue until we faced the Eagles, where our offensive line on the interior could not hold up against that Eagles front. So what we're doing now is we're taking guys, there's 18 inches of snow outside, and we could pick between a 4x4 or a Corvette, and we're choosing a Corvette because that thing is sexy as hell. Let me tell you, it looks good. That's the whole point I was trying to make. But go ahead. Is it red?
Is a Corvette
it's a
red?
Little red? It's a little red Corvette, as a matter of fact. Does that make sense? Am I off base here? Like, that's kind of how I'm looking at the whole approach.
I'd be looking at it the same way. I mean, we could spend $20 million a little bit better in other places if we're looking at it, in this context. I definitely think that. But I thought that Professor Cakes had a fair point here. Dobbs can't stretch the field like DK, though.
Very true.
In my opinion, DK is way more impact per play compared to Dobbs. That's fair. Though we do force Dobbs down the sideline. And he does he does catch some of those. So it's not like he can't do it, but I 100% get what you're saying. Like,
does he do it at $25 million plus?
Yeah, right.
That's it. Well,
and here's the other thing. Like, think back this year, Emilio. This year, how many times did we see Jordan take a shot to Romeo deep?
Yeah.
Didn't hardly happen. Last year, remember the sideline catch against the Saints, and he can. I think he can do it. I'm not saying he can do it as good as DK Metcalf, but that's the whole reason why I looked at the numbers and I went, I'll be damned. He's doing it at just as good a rate as DK Metcalf is.
Right.
Like, we can only go off of what we see. And I understand the whole Madden effect. People get on Madden. It's like, man, DK just chuck and duck, and that dude goes up and gets it. I'm sorry, man. These numbers here aren't suggesting that's what he's doing.
Can I pose a question quick to you guys? Because I think that this is what's swaying as I'm reading the chat. It seems like that a bulk of the chat are done with Dobbs. I've seen. I don't want to highlight them because I'm not in the game of hating on players that are currently on the team that are young players. But I will say, if I had to be objective, I would say Dobbs at times, just his overall demeanor. I don't know the guy. I don't know if I would ever be able to make him smile, and that bothers me. Like, there's something there where it's just the projection that he gives as a teammate isn't that kind of like cuddly. And maybe we don't know because all we see are the interviews and the weird kind of I just caught the ball, the very no emotion. And I would argue that a lot of the fans have probably turned off on him because of the fact that he has that kind of really harder shell where it's almost, you don't know what he wants. You don't know if the guy wants money, fame, if he hates the game, if he loves the game. You can't tell if I don't know how to read him. And that kind of weirds me out in a way. So I just, that one, I don't know about that. And honestly, I can't tell if he's a great culture guy or a bad culture guy. I really don't. He has the most stone-faced poker face of any professional athlete that I can remember in modern times, where it's like, I don't know if he likes being here or if he wants to freaking burn the place down. I just caught the ball. I think that part of it is hindering people's ability or making it easy for people's ability to say either trade him, get rid of him, or keep him.
Yeah.
I just want to pose that. I don't know if that's
no, yeah. I think it's all good points. And like Drew says, I think the Packers might want to get rid of Dobbs to clean up the culture. I personally don't agree with that, Drew, but I can understand how you would see that. But here's my thing. Notice I haven't said anywhere I want to sign Romeo Dobbs for $30 million a year.
No.
I don't want to sign Romeo Dobbs for $20 million a year.
No.
Right? So the whole thing here is you're talking about this season and then moving forward, you're talking about giving up a first-round pick and Romeo Dobbs, one of your better receivers this last year, for one guy to match the same production. If he gets – here's the thing, the whole other angle here, Emilio, that I was trying to hit was if DK Metcalf comes here and people think all of a sudden he's going to get 120 targets, that's not how Matt LaFleur operates.
Right.
So if he gets the same amount of targets as Romeo Dobbs and he finishes the season with 600 or 700 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns, everybody's going to be going, Goody said, man, more.
Yeah. That's not that DK, not that it's going to happen to DK, right? But you're right. I mean, if we have a target share problem already, we're already trying to figure out who we're trying to move the ball to. If we want Tucker Kraft to get more involved, where are those targets?
That's the other thing, right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, if we want to go into 12 personnel, what's Musgrave going to do?
Right. The same fans who were screaming, Matt LaFleur should be fired. We need to get Tucker Kraft more touches. Matt LaFleur should be fired. We need to get Jaden Reed more touches. This is criminal that he didn't get that many touches. Oh, let's bring in DK Metcalf and give both those guys less touches.
Right. Yeah.
What are we talking about?
At this point, let's go get Tim's boy and get Max Crosby in here and let's get it moving.
I mean, Max Crosby.
And again, if you were to say, Clayton, is there a legit shot that they trade for DK Metcalf? To me, it feels like there is. I just think some of the compensation's off, and they probably have had some kind of talks. I got a lot of respect for Matt Schneiden and how he reports. I can't think of one time where Matt Schneiden said something that didn't hold true. So, and the same thing with Wildy as well for me. Like, Wildy has grown on me a lot. And I know, looking at the chat, and Jacob's got his little comments he's going to make. Not everybody's the same, right? Everybody's got their strengths, their weaknesses, and their approach to talking ball. You guys know I suck at everything. That's why that's why this show sucks. So, with that being said, 2-0 for this. That's why Tay is perfect. He's been the dude on bad teams, so he'll be cool with his role here while bringing the young guys up. That's the other thing. Like DK Metcalf, he's been available. But how many times have we seen him get into a fight on the field? He drew huge penalties. We drew huge penalties on him while I was in town for that Seahawks matchup, Monday Night Football a few years ago now, 3 years, I think. And they baited the hell out of him to throw him punches and stuff. And then you've seen it again against other teams, him, not losing his cool, that type of thing. That stuff's got to come into factor too. So I don't know. I'm not against DK Metcalf. I roll my eyes at the people that scoff at people that dare question, will we bring in the almighty great DK Metcalf because he is the next Terrell Owens? You know what I mean? It's like, what are we talking about? Because $30 million a year, guys, that's Terrell Owens money.
I was going to say, hey, let's bring Terrell. Have you seen him run lately? Guy can still play.
Gronkowski said he was coming back, right? They said that he was working out to come back.
Which, by the way, is that what one of the things that feuded the Starbucks war? Is that what we heard? Does anybody know?
No, I don't think that started it.
Yeah, I don't know. There you go. Look, Ron Sample, DK 7 personal fouls last year.
That's a big deal. We're not trying to bring a hothead in here. That's right. Not what we want to do.
Yeah.
What happened when Quay did one? Like, had one of those things.
Exactly, dude.
Oh my God, everybody lost their mind, right? Yeah, Blake B said Lou Holtz loves Max Crosby. If my voice wasn't gone, I can actually do a pretty damn good Lou Holtz listening to Ty. How do
you do a good play on the? No, I can't even do it, man.
You got to
come on, Clay, do it.
I can't with my voice now. You got to get into that suckering succotash type talk. You know what I'm talking about? Spit all over the keyboard to do it. But anyway, all right. Have we?
I think honestly, the next question you just need to ask the fans, Clayton, is: do we need offense or defensive help? And then we can go from there. Let's stop talking about spending $30 million on a wide receiver right now if we think we need a little bit more help on the defense.
Amelia, just quit talking. We already figured it out. Jarrell Lee says, just bring back Antonio Brown.
Actually,
we got this, dude.
That wouldn't be a bad move.
By the way, off topic, I have not seen the podcast with Theo Vaughn and him yet. Is it good?
I hope
that has to be gold, right? Theo Vaughn interviewing Antonio Brown.
Gotta be.
Josh Martin with the super chat. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate you, buddy. He says, I think Goot LaFleur is over with the wide receiver by committee and being the top in the league for drops in consecutive years. It's hurting Love's development. Did they really lead the league in drops 2 years in a row?
We definitely led this year.
I think that might be correct.
So we led the league in drops last year. I didn't realize that.
Somebody in the chat fact check that, please. But
how many drops did DK have? Is their question.
That's a good one too. But what are the prospects that are? I remember, was it Jack Besh that basically had like no drops, and I believe there were a few other wide receivers. 2%. And to be fair, we did criticize because we seem to draft in the weirdest ways, where it's like this guy could be good if he just fixed this, and this, and this, and this. He'll be really good, especially on defense. I know, Clay, you've talked about that many times, where it's like this guy's a physical freak. Can he play ball? No, not yet, but we can develop him. we've talked about it.
Change him.
I can change him.
Yeah, Josh, I understand what you're saying here, buddy. I don't think it's a bad point. I don't think coaches go into game plans going, all right, guys, here's the deal. Let's get the damn ball to him. Let's just throw it to him no matter what. You know what I mean? You're looking for keys. You're looking for bracket. You're looking for, tips on, all right, what's the defense trying to do to take that player away? And my point was, if Jackson Smith and Jigba, DK Metcalf wasn't even the best receiver on his team last year.
Right.
And again, if you gave Jayden Reed the same amount of targets that Jackson Smith and Jigba got, Jayden Reed has better numbers than Jackson Smith and Jigba and DK Metcalf, for that matter. Way better than DK Metcalf. So I don't think it's as slam dunk as people would think. But and again, Josh, I know you didn't put in the super chat you would pay $30 million for him, right? So
right.
I'm not trying to put those words in your mouth. Just that seems to be the going rate. So.
Sorry, do you think there's an incentive for certain players at certain positions? I mean, like cornerback, wide receiver, where it seems as if you get your name in the media's mouth, all of a sudden your stock rises, whether or not it should rise or not. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean?
That's a real thing, man.
It really does feel like, hey, I'm just gonna throw out this, and again, that bids probably as to why it's agents that are all of a sudden being like, hey, man, create this story, send it out there. Is it true? Sources say it is.
Mm-hmm.
Sources close to the person says it is. A league insider said it was.
I just hate it for Dontarion Wicks if he got traded.
So DK's drop percentage from last year 4.3% with only 3 drops on the year.
That's not terrible at all.
That's really good, right?
A long of 71 yards after. Let's see, his yak was 262. Yak per reception about 4 yards.
This is a great point here too. Harry Cheese says, Emilio, drops are not all a product of the wide receiver. Go watch the drops. How many were solely on the wide receiver? I mean, I'll never forget them Packer Twitter blowing up over Jayden Reed having a drop where he was full extension trying to catch the ball. It hit his hands and they said it was a drop. I'm like, I don't consider that a drop. Anyway, Emilio, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. I was just looking at, we were talking about his blocking, his run blocking grades on PFF. He had a 47 to start the season, 61 to 40. Stayed in the 50s. He had one 88.7, another 55, and then an 85.3, and then some more 50s, and ended the season with a 65. So we only had two 88s, and then one 65. So maybe not as, maybe we need to check the tape on that too. While we're checking the drops, let's see how he engages downfield. Let's see if he quits on blocks, things like that.
Right. All right. We good on the whole DK Metcalf talk, right? I knew it would dominate the show, but I'm glad we did it. So
yes.
All right, that's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we will see you on the other side for hour 2. Appreciate y'all. All right, moving on to hour 2. So this whole Starbucks thing, have you guys heard anything about this Starbucks thing at all?
Wait, it has something to do with the owner and
yeah. So Jordan Schultz, actually a friend.
Oh
of the show,
yeah.
He. I don't want to give the complete backstory, but Jordan Schultz, his dad, one of the founding members, CEO,
CEO was what I heard.
Starbucks. When he goes on the McAfee show, they call him Lil Latte, is what they call him.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, this dude, he's got more money than he knows what to do with, and he chose to be an NFL insider. That's something he wants to do as a career. Really, really likes that type of work. So he and Ian Rappaport went at it with each other, right? And Ian Rappaport basically, if I understood correctly, on one of his reports came on, dunked on him, like basically saying you're wrong with that. Well, Lil Latte ran into him at the Starbucks at the Combine and said, hey, bub, let's go.
Well, can I add a little bit more to that backstory?
Yeah.
So Mr. Lil Latte, that is a great nickname, by the way. That's hilarious, which is one of those that only Pat could get away with. Apparently, he reported that Mr. Matt Stafford and Tom Brady, I believe it was, were at just happened to be an off season, in the middle of February, just happened to run into each other. Well, this is how they glossed it over. But what happened is what basically Stafford and Brady were in some ski resort where Brady was basically fluffing and being like, yeah, you got to go to the Raiders. You got to go to the Raiders. It's a done deal, blah, 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 blah. It got then reported by Mr. Jordan there. And then it seemed as if within like a couple hours that the league was like, yo, do you understand what you just reported? That just is basic tempering, basic collusion. It's going to look bad for everyone. And then Aaron Rappaport came out and said, hey guys, just random tweet here, but Matt Stafford was vacationing with his family and just happened to bump into Tom Brady. Totally unrelated, not official. Here's the story. And then this proceeded to happen.
Yeah. And so Adam Schefter the next day, after they had words and got into it and everything, Adam Schefter the next day, another insider, obviously, tweeted this out, a picture of the Starbucks that they happened at, and said, head on a swivel. So I just thought that was absolutely awesome. Now, you guys know on the McAfee show, they have Mad Mel Kiper on there all the time, right? He's a pretty regular guest. Mad Mel Kiper. You know who Mel Kiper is, Jake. So, as a matter of fact, this guy right here.
Who the hell is Mel Kiper in a way?
Right. So
that guy.
Anyway, Ty Schmidt doing his impersonation of Mel Kiper, Mad Mel Kiper, I should say. There's going to be some language here. I just about guarantee it. So if you got kids in the room, earmuff it. Be prepared to skip ahead or just move on to the next podcast. I completely understand. But here was what Mad Mel Kiper had to say about the whole situation here between Lil Latte and Ian Rappaport. Here we go.
Not only do we have fights between insiders, which we'll talk about.
What are your thoughts on that, man? Now, because you've been coming here a long time, so you understand.
Absolutely long time. Well, you get a young pup like Jordan Schultz, who he's trying to really put his stamp on the game. Apparently, Ian Rappaport, well respected in the industry, has a lot of sources, a lot of people he's trying to talk to an agent. Goes up to a counter at a local Starbucks, had like a venti caramel macchiato, or I believe is what he ordered.
With Splenda, I believe.
Yeah, with Splenda, a couple Splenda. It could be a sweet and low. Can't exactly remember what kind of 0 calorie sweetener he decided to go with. Jordan Schultz steps in and says, no, he won't have a venti. So Rap Sheet says, okay, I'll have a grande, caramel macchiato. No, he won't. No, you won't have one of those. All right, I'll take a tall, and we'll be done with this. I'll get out of there. Jordan Schultz, again, this is according to my sources. I wasn't boots on
allegedly. Much like what's going on at a University of Mississippi.
Yes.
Just like we said yesterday.
Well said.
You guys dig into that. Lord have mercy.
There was the grandstanding police hopped out on their high horses. I don't know if you
Again,
saw that. Yeah, it was good to see. Yeah, we weren't even a full show back, and we called them out. Almost for them an hour and a half into the program yesterday. It was great. But what we're saying is this is all alleged, but certainly with some people talking about some realities.
Yeah, without a doubt. So he said, no, you're not going to have any coffee. Not in my house. Okay? You've been saying a lot of shit about me. You've been refuting a lot of the stuff that I've been saying. He said, water only for this guy. Rap Sheet gets a small, plastic cup of water.
Because Jordan Schultz's dad, obviously.
He owns Starbucks. Yeah. Jordan Schultz is the heir to the Starbucks empire, if you will. Mm-hmm. He smacks the water out of his hands and says, fucking do something about it, Rap. Do something. Get in my fucking face. Do it. He, according to Pro Football Talk, he said fuck about 15 times.
At least.
In his dad's cafe?
Cafe, you could.
Well, then he refuted that report.
Well, he did, but,
I wouldn't swear in my dad's passion project.
Dad's Cafe, or you could even take that as far as Rap Sheet basically disrespected this guy in his own living room. Said,
okay, yeah.
You're going to come in here with mud on your shoes and walk through my living room.
Balls on his table.
Exactly. Jordan Schultz smacked him around a little bit, allegedly.
He's in his kitchen making pancakes. Is that?
Yeah. Cooking bacon in his underwear.
Yeah, there it is.
Exactly.
That's basically what was happening.
Shout out Danny Sansucci or whatever.
Still bringing it.
Yeah, still bringing it. And then obviously Rap Sheet, he said, listen, enough is enough. I feel threatened here. This guy's got crazy eyes right now. I'm going to have to call NFL security. NFL security came up. I don't know what eventually happened. I think they took Jordan Schultz out back, beat the shit out of him with a couple lead pipes.
Behind his dad's house?
Exactly.
Yeah, they called him Big Dom. They called him Big Dom, yeah.
Well,
Big Dom don't do that.
The arrow.
Big Dom is a handshake.
You never know.
He's not an ankle flaker.
But I don't know if this is breaking news or not, but I believe today, after the men kind of go through the drills on the field, Jordan Schultz and Ian Rappaport are going to fight to the death at the 50-yard line.
That's combine.
That'll be fun.
That's combine. And for those that are new to the show, we're not 100% sure if that's going to happen. That's just all being
that's
alleged at the moment. Yeah.
Right.
There's a chance one of these people clip the end of that.
Sure.
Say on ESPN. It is being reported by a man wearing a purple suit.
Great suit.
It is a great suit, by the way. So anyway, there you go. That's the update on the drama in Indy. We started to talk about the other night. I think it's freaking hilarious. And then today on the McAfee show, I watched a little bit of it. I believe it was today or yesterday. Anyway, they interviewed Ian Rappaport when he walked up. They were yelling, "The champ is here! The champ is like Ian didn't completely cower down and scream, 'I'll call the cops.'" Anyway, when he went to walk away, they said, "What kind of coffee's that, Rap Sheet?" And he walked off like that. And then he came back. His few minutes later, he went Dunkin' Donuts. He was drinking Dunkin'. He didn't go back into Starbucks that day. So
that's hilarious.
A little drama. I looked at Mandy yesterday. I'm like, why didn't we go to Indy? I didn't even think about it this year. Like, that would be perfect. My off season, we could go to Indy and just do combine shows and stuff like that. That would be fun. So anyway, your all's take on this drama from the reporters who are usually stirring up the drama.
Man, it feels like TMZ, and that's why I kind of lost respect for Kuiper along the way, because I used to really love him when he would look like, Count Chocula. Every time I'd go on ESPN in like the late 90s and early 2000s, it was him and Todd McShay and, guys like that, where I really thought, man,
this was Ty Schmidt. It's Ty Schmidt acting like Mel, right?
Right. Well, yeah, I'm just saying the whole persona of Mel Kiper is just like, it's that weird, like, fake vampire, like, I know everything. I don't quite know why. I don't know where I came. And that was the whole funniest part about it, where he's talking about, like, his dad's, like, dude, where did you come from? Like, I just, I think that it's comedy that, obviously, comedy's funny when it looks at the truism of it. And you could tell that a lot of these guys, the second they get on TV and they start fixing their tie, it's like, I'm an expert now. I am such an expert, and I'll never be talked down to again. And to that same token, a guy that's literally Starbucks's baby child thing, for him just be like, I want to do football now, and I'm going to be an insider. And the fact that he probably can, because he can walk into most rooms and be like, my dad owns Starbucks, right?
Right.
And they're like, okay, you're an insider. And he's like, cool. Just changes his profile on Twitter. And that's it. That's all it takes. So,
Jake, what do you drink from Starbucks?
I have never, this is not a joke. I have drank from a Starbucks one time in my life, willingly. I went in and I got a small, I went in there and I got a small black coffee, and the lady went, with what? And I went, with a lid. And she's like, well, what do you mean? And I was like, I just want like a small black coffee, no cream, no nothing. And she looked at me as if I like kicked her dog or something. I was like,
you kicked my dog?
And then I just stepped to the left, and then with another 30 weirdos that were just sitting there like, is my drink ready? Like, I hated it. I hated the whole thing.
We need to bring Jake to Asheville, North Carolina sometime. Anyway, 2-0 for this in the chat. Says Rappaport is more of a Twilight vampire.
Thank you.
One of those, short, clean cut ones. Anyway, Emilio, what do you get from Starbucks, sir?
Jeez. And venti anything. That brown sugar espresso.
Isn't that your nickname? Brown sugar.
It's got to be brown sugar.
Yeah. Oh, you know it. Have been on a kick though, where it's just black coffee and a scoop of brown sugar. We're trying to thin it out.
I got you. But for me, it's I like to get the skinny vanilla latte, right? The largest one, and hit me with 2 extra shots of espresso. I want to feel like I'm on the.
Always got to get.
Wait, you guys actually go to?
Always got to get the espresso. No, dude, no. I don't go often. I make espresso at home every morning. But I'm saying if I do pass a Starbucks, if I'm driving somewhere.
Definitely.
Just Carly every 2 feet.
Carly Ray in the chat said Schultz had reason to be pissed off. I agree. And here's the thing. What happened here, guys, is most people talk all that crap on social media, and then when they come face to face with someone, they lose that energy. That's what happened. So what is going on in the project?
Emilio, we found out his new tag. When he comes back on here, it better not say Emilio. It should say brown sugar espresso.
Espresso.
That was great.
Maybe with one of those weird things over the E's. What do you guys do over there, Emilio? What's that called?
Tilda.
I love that movie.
No, that's what it's called. I'm pretty sure.
No, that little girl that was the witch. I love that movie.
Oh, I know that.
Tilda.
Yeah. Girl was witch. This show sucks so bad, man. So bad. Jake, I'm just glad you can contribute to it, man. I really am. Thank you. All right. Jordan Schultz, of all people, put this tweet out.
Oh,
Marshall Starr defensive end Mike Green will skip all drills at the combine due to hamstring tightness. The projected first-round pick will instead work out at his pro day. Green led the nation with 17 sacks last season. Obviously, we've talked about him a lot. On our board, we have Mike Green in the 16 spot. I don't see this hurting him at all. He goes out there at the pro day, shows he is as advertised. I think he'll be fine. You guys got to take on this. You worried about this at all?
I'm not worried a little bit. I think that the guy has shown that he is a absolute stud at that position. I know that the Packers, at least myself, and I think we've talked about it on this podcast, that I'd like them to stop, especially on defense, drafting for potential and maybe draft on what's happened. And so what's a better way to do that than to go out there and find a guy that's led the league, the nation, in sacks, in production in the last season. So I would totally love a Mike Green. I'd love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and listening to the GM Shuffle with Mark Dominic, I'm pretty sure now that I've listened to it enough, but he was saying that if they're skipping the combine and they're like a high, if they're high up there, you probably didn't need to see it. If you're like that, where they got a lot of their information was going to the Senior Bowl, going to those kind of games where you see them up against other talent, especially from a small school like that. He was saying it like a smaller school like Marshall or Toledo or any of the, North Dakota State, any of those guys that you think might not be able to, just need to see him in a live couple reps game like situation against those, those higher level talents. And as long as you see that, man, I think that as long as you can talk to him and figure out who he is as a person, you should be able to move forward with it.
Yeah, definitely. Drudy in the chat said, big thing with Mike Green is character. He had allegations of stalking a woman in high school and then got suspended at Virginia. So he transferred to Marshall. And we read the story the other day, Drew, and I guess it just depends on who you want to believe, but the whole reason he transferred to Marshall was because I think it was something to do with coaches and stuff like that as well, right? If I remember correctly, the story was that he liked the coach. And that was someone else
I'm pretty sure that was Walter Nolan.
That was Walter Nolan. That's right.
But Mike Green, when we were trying to dig into it, I was going to say she didn't. I don't think she came out and said. I think it was like a double allegedly sort of thing.
Yeah,
two people down or something.
Yeah, we definitely did not ding him with the penalty on our board with like a red mark, like whoa, personal thing, because everything we read was there's literally we can't find anything on it. There's nothing.
I think you maybe chalk that up to Lion season.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And that is a real thing. We've talked about it over and over. That happens, this time.
I mean, especially you got a small school guy taking a couple of spots from those upper school guys. I mean, it's not something you want to see every day.
Right. And I want to be very, very clear here. If there is any proof whatsoever that he did anything to threaten a girl, harm them, stalk, whatever, I don't want him anywhere near my football team. But we've also got to take into consideration some of the stuff that's happened here lately, like with Matt Ariza, I think was his name, the punt god or whatever they called him. Bro, ruined his life, and it was all BS. So, innocent till proven guilty. But I'm going to tell you right now, there's nothing that pisses me off more than a grown man trying to, put down a lady or a child, because that's something I've had, personal experience with growing up. I cannot stand it. So I didn't see anything at all to suggest that this was true at this point anyway. If you guys see something, let us know for sure.
Ron was saying that he was cleared of high school one completely, not sure on the college one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there you go. Mike Green, again, going to sit out for a little bit. There was rumors that Ja might end up with Baltimore. I ain't going to lie, man. He looks pretty damn cool in that Baltimore Ravens jersey, don't
it? Yeah, looks pretty tough.
Sleeved out tats. Yeah. Looking good. So it says ML Football said the Baltimore Ravens are the favorite to trade for all-pro cornerback Jair Alexander. Baltimore will pair Alexander with all-pro Marlon Humphrey, a lockdown duo. And they also, I think, mentioned that, obviously Lamar Jackson was one of Jair Alexander's best friends in college at Louisville. So that would make a lot of sense for sure. Coach Lynn in the chat, thoughts on DJ Reed? How do you guys feel about DJ Reed? You got an opinion on him before we move on to the next topic?
Honestly, I'd love it. If we're going to spend money on someone, that would probably be my pick on defense. I just feel like that he fits the bill. But that being said, I mean, I don't know. Looking at this draft, I've heard some people say that they thought it was a deep draft for cornerbacks. I do not agree. I think we have to take one at least in the first 3 rounds and then take a stab at one I love what's that guy's Mello Dotson. Love to see if we maybe could take a stab on him. Kobe Bryant in the late rounds. Dorian, I believe Dorian Thomas or Dorian something from Virginia Tech. He apparently ran real well today. So Dorian Strong, I believe it was.
So how much would you be willing to pay DJ Reed? That's the question, Jake.
DJ Reed.
I did like how he played though. That's a Jets guy, right? That's a Jets corner.
I mean, what is he asking for? I mean, I would be comfortable within the 10 to 12 region, and that's pushing it.
Calculated market value is 14.7 million.
Okay, yeah.
And one of the comps. Here's the thing though, he's 5'9" is my thing. Now again, when you look at the passer rating when targeted too, his passer rating when targeted was like an 80 something. So
5'9", I don't see that happening.
Yeah. Jair Alexander's was 77.6. Carrington Valentine's getting no love, 69 passer rating allowed. And again, DJ Reed was that dude that finished in the 80s. So now is DJ Reed better than Keyshawn Nixon? Probably, but do you want to pay $14 million? You know what I mean, Emilio? How do you feel about that?
And I think that they're trying to get away from the smaller corner. Jaws 5'10". So I think that they're trying, if they were going to go get a DJ Reed, I don't think that's who they're looking for. I think when we go to the draft, we got to kind of key in on corners over 6 foot that they like. That Noah Williams, I think, coach, is that Cal corner.
That's what I was just going to say. Yep.
I liked it. I think any corner with size we need to kind of keep an eye on. Anyone over 6 foot, 6'1", I think that they wanted because we went from a 5'10" that got hurt 2-3 times. We're mad that he's not on the field. We're upset that he's not playing, not worth his contract. We can't go back small again. It's like what we did with the running backs. You gotta reboost it, bolster it. We got a big wide receiver. Let's get a big corner, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, for me, it's for the right price. I'd say no to anyone, or I wouldn't say no to no one.
Yeah, that's true too.
You know what I mean? Like
both are true.
If you get DJ Reed for less than $10 million per, I'd be all right with it. But if it's going to be 14, and like we said, those numbers are typically it's a little bit more than that. So if it's 15, 16 million per, that's a tough sell for me. It really is. Because again, I think I would rather stick with what we got, roll the cap, and roll with Carrington Valentine and Keyshawn Nixon. Carrington Valentine better be starting next year, man. I'm telling you.
Yep.
If we go and sign a corner or we draft a corner and they put Carrington on the bench and we're starting that rookie corner and we're starting Keyshawn Nixon and we're getting burnt, I'm going to be so mad, man, because Carrington did everything he was supposed to do last year. Like he really stepped his game up.
Do you think Hafley would let that happen with being the DB guy he is?
I doubt it. Paulson Adebo keeps getting mentioned in here, so let's look him up real quick. I remember when I looked him up, I was not impressed at all. No. Emilio, do you have access to PFF by chance? If I go,
I was pulling it up.
Yeah, I'll get the contract here to see if we get a Paulson Adebo comp. Is he a free agent? Yeah, he is a free agent. Here we go. Yeah. All right, so pull up his PFF there, and I'm going to go over who did he play for last year? The Saints. Yeah, I'm going to go to the Saints statistics. Jacob, how do you feel about Paulson Adebo? Do you have anything at all you'd like to say? Would you be okay with signing him?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull him up. Obviously, the hamster wheel might be spinning weird as I do that, but I did bring him up as a potential kind of Ross / Marshalls / Payless type of player. I don't quite know. Here it is. Hey, man, he's got a pass rush grade of 91.5 last year. Run defense grade of 47.6, coverage grade of 63.9 with an overall grade at 63.3. That's 97th out of 223.
So how much would you pay for that? 1.5 million.
Yeah, that ain't. I'm not going to pay anybody to be my fourth cornerback.
Emilio, what do you got on Paulson Adebo, and what price would you put on him?
Oh man, I don't even think I would go for it.
That's me, man. That's me.
Yeah, I don't even really want to give you a number. I think I'd rather go after DJ Reed than Paulson Adebo, honestly, just because I've seen the way DJ Reed plays and I like that more. Yeah, I think it's a pass for me.
Now, the one positive with Paulson Adebo is his passer rating allowed is only 66.8. So he would if we were to sign him, he would have the best passer rating allowed on our entire roster at the cornerback position. That makes sense. But fair market or the calculated market value, $11.1 million. So that's a pretty good chunk there, So what do you want to go with? Do you want to trust PFF? Do you want to go with the passer rating when targeted? Do you still have that pulled up, Jacob? What's his size if you do, or Emilio, either way?
6'1", 192.
Lot better size there, right? But like Emilio
25 years old as well. That's crazy.
At the end of the game, if a corner played better than another corner, you don't look up and go, yeah, but he's short. He plays good, right? But it's kind of one of those cluster busters, one of those tiebreakers. Like if both these guys are grading out about the same, yeah, let's go with the bigger dude.
And I mean, he got injured this year, right? Because he only played 7 games.
Yeah.
Right. So it wasn't a full sample size either. So, yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. Franchise tag news here. Ian Rappaport tweeted out, the Chiefs are planning to franchise tag star guard Trey Smith. Sources say an intriguing move as Kansas City keeps one of its best players, $23.4 million on a 1-year fully guaranteed. We've also got this added if we need it, the graphics. These are your non-exclusive rights franchise player tenders, how much it's going to cost the franchise tag players, and then the transition players as well. So we've got that on tap. Now, if you guys ever need it, it's saved here in the overlay. So let's see here. We got some players visiting. So with the Packers had a formal interview with Michigan tight end Colston Loveland at the Combine. I don't know about you guys, but they're showing quite a bit of interest in tight ends, it seems like, this offseason. Emilio, that is the top rated player on our board that the Packers have met with so far, I believe. So we've got him in the 12 spot. Would you guys be okay with Colston Loveland at 23? Would y'all be all right with that or no?
Yes.
Yeah. What about you, Jake?
In theory, yes, just because I don't believe Musgrave is the truth. I do believe Kraft is the truth. So, look who just popped up as soon as we said it. Mr. Shavank just, hey, everybody, remember? I'd be okay with it. I wouldn't love it, to be honest, but I would love land later. See?
I'd be totally fine with that. And remember, when it's when we get to those 30 visits, right? The 30 visits, that's 1-2 days up in Green Bay, right, where they get to see everything. That's going to be so big. So
they even work out for them too, right?
Maybe you do a little foot in the door here, get to know them. When you're at the Combine, say, all right, is it really somebody we want to bring in? I think that's huge.
Yeah, definitely. And again, we're sitting over here talking about wide receivers, trading for DK Metcalf, $30 million a year. Watch them go out and get a tight end with one of their first couple picks, and then press into 12 personnel. That's a realistic possibility. Go ahead, Jacob. What do you think?
No, I was just going to say, it doesn't look like Colson was at the Combine. The top 4 or 5 guys that ran was Terrence Ferguson at a 4.63, Joshua Simon at a 4.65, CJ Dupree, and then Gavin Bartholomew, and then Thomas Fedone, and then followed by Harold Fanning Jr. only ran a 4.71, which I thought that he was one of those kind of freaky types. Like, don't get me wrong, 4.71. I can't run a 4.71 my whole life, so I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm just saying,
And Colston Loveland is at the Combine. He's just not
right. He's meeting and talking and everything.
Just doing the meet and greets.
Yeah. All right. Next player, we got a Golden Domer on the board. Packers met formerly with Notre Dame cornerback Benjamin Morrison at the Combine. You guys know I'm a big Notre Dame fan. I'm not that big on Benjamin Morrison. I think he's a good football player. Don't get me wrong, but people are talking like he's top 20, first round talent. I struggle with that a little bit. We've got him in the 68 spot, and we've also got him in the red from this past year for the hip injury. Emilio, what do you think about Benjamin Morrison? The fact that the Packers met with him at the Combine, do you think there's a chance that they would take him at 23, or is this maybe a second round look?
Yeah, I think that's got to be a second round look. Looking at the board, I mean, he's honestly been one of those that's kind of just been dropping. I could have swore, I was going to say Azari Thomas was behind him before he got the Senior Bowl bump, and he's besides 33rd team, grading out a little bit better than Benjamin Morrison. I think that there's an injury concern there. I think that if he doesn't check out at the Combine, there's an issue, and if I don't know his height and weight, but we got to look a little bit thicker on the outside, because it's not like, I mean, if we're going to be running 4 under 3 over, they're going to have to come in and play some zone, or they're going to have to stick their head in and make a couple tackles. We're not going to be able to just play 5 wide cover and dime all year long.
Right. Completely agree.
Do you think the league is shifting so that maybe, like we just talked about, a 5'9" cornerback or slot guy, whatever, he can't be that kind of run defender that you need? Do you need a guy like, was it Siobhan Ravel or whatever? And I thought that there was a couple other guys.
Yeah, he's
I believe there was one that was 6'3" that outran. Gosh, I can't remember what the guy's name was, but guy at 6'3" ran like a 4.3 something that outdid. The safety that was just drafted lately that everybody considers one of the best. Anyways,
Hamilton.
No, it wasn't It wasn't Hamilton. No, it was even one of the guys that actually ran well. So it was a guy that was 6'3", anyways, but a big bodied guy, to the point where everybody's like, dang, you got a guy that's 6'3" and that size that's outrunning the guys that used to be 5'10", 5'11". I mean, like you just talked about, Emilio, it's a passing league, but at the instances where they break out around and they do an end around, they do something where the cornerback has to come up, make a play. If you got a guy that's 6'3", 200 pounds that runs a 4.3 that can actually thump, I mean, sign me up for that. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. And Drew D says, I hope more.
Derwin James. That was the guy. He ran faster than Derwin James.
Got it. Drew D says, I hope Morrison tests at his pro day. Me too, man, because he's got a chance to improve that stock. And again, going into this college football season this last year, he was, I think, the top corner projected. Like, they were like, this dude's going to be a top 10 pick. And he sank and sank. And then, of course, he gets hurt with the hip injury. And you guys know, it's like Notre Dame's defense didn't even miss him. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of hurt him a little bit too. Like, whoa, how good was this guy? If Notre Dame just literally runs outside of Northern Illinois, runs roughshod through everybody, makes it to the national championship. So there's probably a little bit of that messing with his draft stock too. Now, the Packers could be eyeing him for 23. I would feel a lot better about it if he fell to the second round and we got him there, though.
I'm honestly thinking the more we talk about it, that they're going to take, if Campbell falls, they're going to take Campbell. Jihad Campbell. The more we talk about it, I think if the corner that they like's not there and it's not a tackle that they like, I could 100% see him taken.
Didn't Jihad Campbell run pretty well too, Emilio?
Yeah, he was a freak.
Trying to see here.
Jihad Campbell?
Jihad Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama. His overall score, according to NFL.com, is an 82. His athleticism score is 82. His production score in college is 79. So, what was his 40, Emilio? Do you happen to have that?
I don't.
Oh, I've got it right here. Never mind. I'm sorry. 4.52 is what he ran.
Yeah, that is a goody pick.
It is, man.
100%.
Another guy that's getting a little bit of love here from the Gootinator is Jahdae Barron out of Texas. Obviously, the Packers met with him. Here's a guy. I'd be totally fine with them taking him with the 23rd pick. I'd be okay with it. Versatile corner. He's played slot. He's played outside. He is in the 22 spot on our board. And according to PFF, he was the third highest graded corner in all of college football last year.
Yeah, so he ran a 4.39 today, so that definitely helped him out.
What's his size? Any idea how big Jahdae Barron is?
Yeah, let me see here.
I can't remember if he was a shorter guy or not. Yeah, Drew D says Barron had a great day today. He really did.
5'11", 194.
Okay, that's about Jah's size, all right? So Jair's size, I should say, not Jahdae Barron's size. Yeah, Jair's size. There you go. All right, yeah. This year, Edgerrin Cooper, Jihad Campbell. Could y'all imagine? Now, here's the thing, though. Why did we lose to the Eagles? Why did we lose to the Eagles? That's what you got to keep asking yourself, because they're like at the top of the hill right now, right? If we added Jihad Campbell in the first round, does that get us over the hump against the Eagles? You know what I'm saying? Like, if that was the only pick you can make in the entire draft, does that get you over the hump? It really doesn't. You know?
No.
Emilio didn't want to hear that.
You got to go trenches, right?
I'm thinking like you'd have to go trenches, right? You have to go on offense too. You know what I mean? That was the biggest issue against the Eagles. Am I wrong, guys? Am I remembering it wrong?
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. What I would say to that is that this is one of the deepest D-line drafts in a recent while. So if you want to pull the trigger on a different position in the first round and chase a couple D linemen in the couple later rounds, I think that's a possibility.
Okay. All right, Emilio and Clayton. There's an interesting. If you had to pick just by position group, what would you rank wide receiver, interior offensive lineman, interior defensive lineman?
Wide receiver, interior offensive line, interior defensive line. Interior defensive line, top priority.
Okay.
Right. If you say interior offensive line, if it's not center, then it's not even a second tier. So I would have wide receiver and interior offensive line as the same. Now, if you made me choose between the two, personally, I'd probably go wide receiver over guard. That's just me. That makes sense. Does that answer your question?
I'm taking the D lineman first. I'm taking building the wall second, and third, I'm taking the wide receiver.
There you go. So the only thing we disagree on is the wide receiver guard.
Yeah.
And again, when you say interior offensive line, if you're talking center, hands down, I would go defensive tackle, center, then wide receiver for sure.
Right.
Okay.
People just ignore the center position like it's not that important. It's the only player on the field that touches the ball every single play, and they're setting protections and helping set the blocking for the idea in the mock and being on the same page with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's
they're the ones snapping the silent count that we still can't get figured out. So.
Right, exactly. All right, so you guys know we talked pretty handily about the Aaron Rodgers to LA thing the other day, and I don't know if you guys remember, but I did mention with Matthew Stafford, I had heard that he was told by the team, go out and get your best price, right? We'll get to that tweet here in a second, but essentially Matt Stafford's returning to the LA Rams. And I had said in this tweet, not going to lie, I'd love to see McVay and Rodgers could do together with the Packers knocking them out the playoffs, of course. But obviously that is not going to happen because as we dove into it a little bit more, I could probably go up and grab it real quick. And then we'll come back down if I can find my spot. Here it is. No surprise here at all. The Rams told him to go find the true value, and they matched it. So Ari Mirov on Twitter said, breaking news, the Rams and quarterback Matt Stafford have agreed to terms on a deal to keep him in Los Angeles and off the trade market. So the big thing now is that the Giants are looking at Aaron Rodgers. And the reason we're mentioning this again, the Giants sign Aaron Rodgers, there's a decent chance that Tay says, hey, I've already got a place here in New York. I'll just hop over there and play with him for the Giants too. And now he's off the table for the Packers. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But this didn't catch me off guard. What about you guys?
No, to the Stafford point, Mark on GM Shuffle was saying, think about it. When you're a quarterback, they've already paid him decently. He deserves from his performance to be paid like Kirk Cousins, handsome. Along those lines, Kirk didn't really do anything and got paid a bunch of money. Matt Stafford, he's like, you think about it, he's got a wife there, he's got kids there, they're in school, his wife's got friends there. Like, are you really gonna lift up and go move across the country just so you can get another $5 million? Like, so square that away and be done with it. And then, I do think that, to the Rodgers thing, they said the Giants also keep a possibility in mind, Pittsburgh. What if
I think that's him and Tomlin, 100%.
They could see that too. I could see it.
2-0 for this says they have great ayahuasca bagels in New York. Which, by the way, if I could find this picture, here you go. Look at this. I said the NFL isn't ready for this. So look at this. Somebody did the ayahuasca journey AI pictures here. Look at Brian Daboll in the jungle with
No, they didn't.
They did. Look at this.
That's a problem, dude.
That's awesome, man.
Oh man,
people are scared of AI. Embrace it, boys. Embrace it.
Real quick,
we ain't moving on that easy, Jacob. Look at this guy over here.
That's a good-looking man.
Look at that birth control face. You ain't getting nobody pregnant with that face. I'm sorry, it ain't happening. Ain't gonna happen. All right, Jacob, go ahead.
Nature's condom. So I think that basically, if I'm Rodgers right now, or if I was McVay looking at what the staff, he's like, go out and see if anybody wants to pay more than we can. The guy won a Super Bowl together. He understands the offense. McVay is not a dumb guy. He understands that if I go out and even if I get a Rodgers or insert whatever quarterback in. It's going to take some time. It's just gonna. There's no way they're going to. God, Duval. There's no way that it's just going to be clicking in. Just like maybe it would, but odds are that it won't. And he's no
Duval.
He literally traded a lot of capital to get Stafford. A lot of people thought it was stupid for what he did. I think that it's smart as far as if you're an LA guy, but I do think it's interesting now to see where Rodgers falls into the spectrum. A lot of people I'd say would be New York, but then Oakland, but then I'm sure Rodgers isn't probably too excited to find out that Brady was trying to quote unquote possibly trying to do some off-field recruiting while he was at the ski resort, which never happened, of course, according to Starbucks guy.
Conveniently, that deal got done right after that report.
It is funny.
I know. Isn't that funny, Emilio? Isn't it funny how it was almost like they're like, no.
Matt Stafford didn't get any numbers from Brady there. Didn't have any idea on what he would have been making.
Dude, just quit speculating, Emilio. God.
You're so right.
Ian Rappaport still has a piece of raw meat on his eye from when he got punked. Contract gets done, right? Here's another guy the Packers showing interest in. Princely, say it for me, Emilio. You can do this. How do you say that last name?
Umanamale. I don't know.
Here's the guy.
There you go. All right,
thank you. I was going to bring this guy up today. What
Princely,
a freak.
Princely U-Man is what I would call him. Or Princely.
Go ahead, Jake. No, I just when I had not looked at him much, and all right, let's go right here. Jake Shavink's going to help us out here. Umanmielen. All right, it's super easy. I don't know why
I will never get that right, Jake, but I appreciate you more than
we'll put the hyphens in there on the board for you.
Umanmielen. I honestly, when I looked at his numbers, I was like, oh my Lord. Like, I would love to draft about like 4 or 5 guys out of Ole Miss, just all in a row. Just, I don't even care. Let's just bring them all in there. They'd be great teammates. We know that. When you looked at his size, his speed, his numbers, I don't know if you can bring that up. I could try on my hamster wheel here, but I was blown away.
The only person we have a 40 time for, according to NFL.com right now for the edge defenders, is actually now that's showing the top guys. It's kind of weird, man. It's a really cool setup, but it's so hard to organize the combine tracking information. Let me see if I can see it.
For Princely, the RAS scores had him hand size 9'6", arm length 33.8, height was 6'4.3, weight was 244, vert of a 38, broad jump of a 10.6, 40-yard dash of a 4.72.
And his speed, according to Next Gen Stats, was 20.9 miles per hour.
That's humming, though. That's humming.
That's huge for his size. And, dude, his PFF grades, 2022, he played 13 games, 82.1. 2023, 12 games, 76.5. This last year, 2024, 91.1. The dude had a pass rush win rate at 22.8% with a true pass set rush rate at 90.9. And with a run stop rate of 8.6. Let's go. Sign him. Get him. Just do it. Sign him.
Sign him. So, yeah, Princely, we've got in the 52 spot. He was the 4th highest graded edge defender in college football last year. Emilio, so as it sits right now, is his RAS final or no?
I don't know. I just pulled it up on the website, so I'm not.
The reason I ask is you've got a -3 in here, which would say he was an 8.
He was. I mean, that's what his RAS is still an 8.5 right now.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
I when I put it in there, it was the absolute latest info I had. So yeah, if we have a wrong number, we'll update that.
Okay, perfect. Good deal, man. So
but I also didn't sort. If you still have it sorted by the last one, I didn't sort by that final column. So he might have slid up if he got a -3.
That's a good catch. Let me make sure then.
It'd be the far right one you can sort with.
Yeah, let me see here. Just make sure that he didn't. Yeah, he did. Holy cow, you're right. So he jumped up to 46 now. Princely's at 46. Yeah. So according to our board, not worthy of the 23rd pick, but another guy that's in that ballpark for a 2nd round pick. But you never know by the time the draft gets here. I'm gonna watch some of this stuff and be careful. Tim cracking me up, man. Here's a guy. Look at him sliding in there. Oh man! All right, so we got some RES early RESs that came in here. CJ West, we talked about him a little bit in Indiana. Shout out to Kent Lee Platt, I think is how you say his name, at MathBomb over on X doing the RES work for us. CJ West, defensive tackle, Indiana, 9.16 is his early RES. It may have changed now, but when I tweeted that out, that's where he was at. Just to rattle some of these off. Here's what we were talking about with Jahad Campbell. Obviously, it was early. They still had some agility scoring to do, but his was sitting at a 9.85 RAS. So he's going to be an absolute freak for sure. Let's see, was there anything else that we wanted to hit on here real quick? We hit the trade. We hit that. Yeah, of course, that. Here we go. Alfred. Emilio's finding all the sound. Tim ain't in here, so Emilio's playing with the soundboard tonight. He's going through and everything. Alfred Collins, another guy we talked about. The Packers officially met with him, right? Was that at the combine or was it not? It didn't specify, did it, Emilio?
I would assume that it's at the combine just because of when it's coming out, but
yeah. So he gets the cheese anyway, but Alfred Collins obviously on the Packers
40th on the board, 40th.
So it kind of feels like all this pocket of players the Packers are meeting with that got second round grades for us. Let's just end up taking one of those with the 23rd pick.
Clay, you should, after you just reorganize it, look at all the cheese sitting from what is it, pick 14 to pick 25. There's about 5 or 6 cheeses right there.
We'll show it here in a second.
Yeah, okay.
Let's hit these real quick and we'll pop it up on the screen, show everybody what we're talking about. Danny Stutzman, we talked about him, linebacker, right? Met with the Packers. Do we know where he's at on the board? He was a little lower.
He's at 89.
89. Okay, so a little bit lower there.
He climbed though because he had a -5 on his RAS. He was over 9 on his RAS, so he has unofficial RAS.
Yeah, and then the Packers also met with wide receiver Matthew Golden out of Texas. He's in the 36th spot for us, so that's a wide receiver that might be on their radar for the 23rd pick as well. This might be the year that we go wide receiver first round. They also met with Texas running back Jaden Blue. Now we've got him really low on our board because we're lacking a bunch of information, but Packers did meet with him. Talked about that. Oh, this is interesting, and it's the last thing, and then we'll actually let me pull up the board, and then if we have time, we'll hit on this. I know we're way over, but let's see. Let's go here. Bang. All right. So this is what Emilio was talking about when we got the cheese on our draft board. You'll notice the logo right here next to the name. We mentioned it before. Now the board really starts to talk to you, doesn't it, Emilio? Like you can kind of see, all right, where are the Packers looking? 14th overall prospect in Colston Loveland. They met with him. 16th overall prospect, Kenneth Grant out of Michigan. You drop down, Jahad Campbell is the 22nd best prospect out of Alabama. Jahdae Barron is the 23rd prospect out of Texas. Walter Nolan, 24th. Raku, do we have that? Is that okay? 25th on our board.
That's a Boston College kid. Played with Hafley.
So if you looked at this, Emilio, you probably say, as of right now, these are probably the dudes that are on that short list of
for
players.
Pick 23.
Pick 23.
Absolutely.
Pretty cool, man. That's awesome that it talks to you that way. And then if you slide down, you're going to get a couple more pockets.
You get your next window. This is working into your second pick. What, in the 40s or I'm sorry, 54. Yep. So you're working these guys just a little early because people might be working down their board. Right. So this is your second window. So you got wide receiver Matthew Golden, defensive tackle Alfred Collins, Princely Umanamilan, out of Ole Miss that we just talked about. He's on the radar there. Trey Amos, cornerback out of Ole Miss. And then Harold Fannin Jr., tight end out of Bowling Green. Jaden Higgins, wide receiver out of Iowa State. And then scroll down a little more, Benjamin Morrison. There you go. So these are all guys you're probably looking at for that second round pick, right? Jalen Royals there. Jalen Royals, you're probably getting into the third round a little bit. Kind of cool. You do, as we're looking at it, you see those windows. Second's a little broader, but that third, as you start to come into number 3 down there in the 80s, scroll down a little bit further there. There are 80s and 90s from Danny Stutzman at 89 all the way down to 108, all the way down to like 115. I mean, it's just a field of cheese rolling down through there. So, you know, those chases. I know Jacobs ran down the hill chasing after the wheel of cheese. Oh my God, dude, those are the best videos, bro.
chasing the cheese, Will. We need to pay his airfare and make Jacob go over there and do that.
We need to bring one to the sledding hill at the draft and let Jacob.
We will all be in handcuffs before the
I was
draft.
gonna say.
Tear that turf all to hell. So anyway, that's just kind of a quick glance into the draft board and how the cheese emojis are identifying the players the Packers have met with so far. I think that's kind of cool how it pops. And the last thing I want to get your take on it, guys, and then we're out of here, I promise. Went a little bit long tonight, but that's okay. This is really interesting, and I think it's great news. You may disagree. Rob Demovsky said the Packers are cracking down on season ticket holders who have, quote, sold 100% of their tickets for multiple years. Those who have done so will lose their tickets. So it says, additionally, the organization is continuing its non-renewal exercise, which has taken place in recent years to ensure Packers season tickets are being used as intended. This year, as a part of the exercise, the organization declined to renew the season tickets of accounts that have sold 100% of their tickets for regular season games for multiple years. Tickets not being renewed will be offered to fans on the waiting list. Account holders with tickets not being renewed are receiving letters from the Packers ticket office with more information. I think this is a huge win.
So what you're telling me is Doge is in the GM
It
area?
could be.
Yeah.
Could be Elon
Sending down an audit, baby.
Uh-oh.
He sent an email out that said, "Hey, Packer fans, tell me about the last 5 games you've been to."
That's exactly what it is.
But Ben Holden was all over it. Packer fans are getting doged. No, but yeah, I think everybody agrees from a Packer fan standpoint.
I love it.
Hey, look, yeah, this is awesome. And because there's so many people that want to go to games and they can't afford it because the tickets are getting scalped. And you got these people that have waited their whole lifetime on the waiting list. And other people are locking up those tickets and they won't give those tickets up and they're using it like a business. I just think
Right. And it's not like you're a family or whatever and you've had them forever, but you didn't get to go last year. You had to sell them off, right? But you're making it to a game here and there. You're still getting up there. I'm sure travel's not easy, but I do love that. Hey, you've been consistently selling those things for years. Get out of here. You got to move.
Get out of here.
Drew D. Read what Drew D said there. What did he say?
Drew D says, Mark Murphy watching the stream. Confirmed.
He said he doesn't watch it all the time, but usually about
65%.
65%. That's what
of the time. All right. So I thought that was a good thing to end the show on. I think that's great news for Packer fans. And listen, I understand somebody in the chat said that, unfortunately, 1% of 40,000. I got you. It's not like it's a huge turnover, but
You know what they did? They started the groundwork.
that's it. And every great construction site, Emilio, starts with the foundation. Listen, you got to get in there. Not only do you got to dig those footers out, you got to get that subgrade on point. You got to do compact testing. You got to make sure when that little fruitcake comes by from the State Department that you're going to clear all waivers. Look, they're going to allow us to build here. You throw the stone in place, you back it down, you tie your rebar, your grade beam, your micro piles are drilled, your anchor bolt's set, bring in the red iron, and you're good to go.
You can build it. He can help.
Clayton literally just gave you a lesson on how to build a building from the ground up right there. Just
Really did.
clip
And
that.
some of y'all are going, he's BSing. Not. I actually did concrete and steel for about 7 years. That's why my back. That's why y'all see me doing this on the show. My back killed me. So anyway, this show sucks. Appreciate y'all. Hit that like button on the way out.
Sub.
Emilio, yeah, sub if you don't care.
Share.
Share.
Don't listen to Jacob.
Share with your friends. If you don't have friends, share it with a stranger. Okay, we're your friends. That's sad to think about. If we're your only friends, that's sad. But we'll always be here because we don't have friends. Bye.
And we go.
Bye, guys.